Hello everyone. Today we will be going to discuss a new topic which is dynamic initialization of objects. Now dynamic initialization I have already covered in previous lectures also, that what is the meaning of dynamic initialization. It means that the initial values are provided during runtime. Means in dynamic initialization some initial values will be provided to the variables and it will be provided during the execution time. Means when we are executing a program, at that time we will provide that values to the variable. This is the meaning of dynamic initialization. Now let us see this particular code in which we will be using constructor. In the first cases, that in the earlier lectures we have seen that how we use the constructor and how we initialize the values or pass a particular value to an object, and that object invokes the constructor. So we give the values at the time of this the topic that we have covered earlier, that was of the static initialization. Means in static initialization, in our code only we provide the values to the objects, and in the dynamic initialization what we will do, at the runtime the values will be provided by the user. So in this code we will see that one. Okay, so here you see the class sample we have defined, and in this class there are two data members. One is roll number, which is of integer type, and another one is marks, which is float type. Now in the public section we have defined a constructor which is a parameterized constructor, and it is taking two parameters. One parameter is A and another parameter is B. So sample is the same name as that of the class name, so that's why sample is a parameter, is a constructor. And since we are passing values inside or parameters inside this particular constructor, so that's why it is a parameterized constructor. Now this A is initialized to roll number and B is initialized to marks. Okay, now you see another constructor we have defined here, sample, and again in the bracket we have given the name of the class sample and then ampersand symbol, then S. This is the meaning what? This is the meaning that it is a copy constructor, because we are using the reference symbol here. So reference meaning that this object, that is S, this object will be copied to another object. The values of this object will be copied to another object. This is the meaning of the copy constructor. So here you see, using this particular S object, what we are doing S dot roll number, means the value of roll number which is having in the object S, this is copied to another object which is roll number. So roll number equal to S dot roll number and marks equal to S dot marks, and we are printing here that copy constructor at work. Means here the copy constructor is working. Now here our main program ends, not main program, here our class definition ends. Okay, so since we have given this braces and semicolon, this means that our class has ended here. Now we are using the main function. In the main function what we have done, you see, we have taken two variables, one is X and another one is Y. Okay, X is integer type and Y is of floating point type. Now we are telling the user, here we will use the dynamic initialization. So the user has to provide the value at the runtime of the program. Okay, so that's why we have asked the user here that enter the roll number of the student. So user will enter some roll number and that roll number will be stored in X. Now again we are telling enter marks of the student. So user will enter certain marks and that marks will be stored in the Y variable. Okay, so you see here, this particular program is depending upon the user's value. That is, the user will provide the value at the time of execution of the program. So that's why whenever a particular code depends on the user for giving the value at the runtime, then that thing is known as dynamic initialization. Because in the earlier examples we have seen that whenever we have defined the object of a class, then we provide the value along with it. When we define the object, along with the defining we provide the values, we provide the parameters, and it invokes the constructor. But here you see, we are giving the variable name, not the values. We are giving X, Y the variables. So in the sample, when we are defining the object S1 for the sample class, we are passing the parameters X and Y. So this X and Y is not static. This X and Y may change every time. because it will depend upon the user. whenever the user will provide value to x and y, depending upon that value the S1 will take its value. Suppose when the user will provide roll number, suppose x is having the roll number 2 and y is marks I have written 89. So what will happen, this 2 and 89 will be passed to x and y and it will invoke the parameterized constructor. Okay, and the next time if we want to run the program again, we want to run the code again, then we can change the value also, because it is dynamic initialization, it is not static. If it is static, then only one value can be provided to the object, but since it is dynamic initialization, we can change the value of x and y every time. Okay, so here lies a benefit of dynamic initialization, which is, it is very important. The dynamic initialization, the benefit of dynamic initialization is that it provides the flexibility of assigning initial values at the runtime. So it provides us the flexibility. Why it provides flexibility? Because every time we run our program, we can change the value. It is very flexible when we assign certain values, initial values to particular variables or object using the dynamic initialization. Because when in static initialization, what happens, only one value we can take, or only one value we can assign. But in dynamic initialization, every time we run our program, we can change the value every time and we can see what that particular value is giving us as output. Okay, so next topic is constructor overloading. As we have seen in the case of function overloading, that function overloading means the name of the function is same in every case, but it is having different forms. That is, it may be in the case of number of values that is passed inside the function, or something like that. That is, it will be having different forms. Similarly, in constructor overloading also, the constructor overloading means the name of the constructor will be same for each and every case, and we can use various types of constructor in a single program. Okay, so the constructor may vary in the type of constructor, that is either it can be parameterized constructor or default constructor or copy constructor, and the constructor overloading may be in this case also, that the parameterized constructor we are using in various different ways. That is, parameterized constructor we are using, suppose 2 or 3 parameterized constructor we are using in a simple program, and in every case we are defining the constructor by the number of argument. Suppose in one case the number of argument is 3, in another case the number of argument is 2, in another case suppose maybe the number of argument may be 1. Okay, so this is how the overloaded constructor works. Okay, so here this particular program is in your page number 217 of your book, and this program is program number 5.2. okay, this program is telling us that how we use the overloaded constructor. This we will see in this particular program. So first what we have done, this program is very important. Okay, so you have to make notes like the way I am writing here. I have made you understand about the dynamic initialization also. This you have to make notes and then you go to overloaded constructor. Okay, so overloaded constructor, this particular program is very important. Okay, so this program is showing us how we use the overloaded constructor. So first we will include the header file. It may look big for you, it may appear that it is a very big program, it may be very difficult, but it is not a difficult program. Okay, it is very easy. If you understand the concept, then it will become very easy. So first we are including the header file, then we are using stdlib.h. So this stdlib.h, this you can include also, not include also, because this is used for system CLS. System CLS means for clearing the screen. So if you are using system CLS, then you can include this header file, and if you are not using the system CLS, then you can ignore this particular header file also. Okay, so now the name of the class is what? Deposit. Okay, so here the data members that we are using are long int principal. Now the question may come that why we are using long int principal. Principal we can use integer value also. Yes, we can use integer value, but we know that the range of integer value is what? From 0 to 65535. That is, this is the total number of integers that is supported by the C++. Now the range comes from minus 23767 to plus 32768. Yes, the range comes from minus 32767 to 32768. Like this type of range the integer value supports. Okay, so for this range the total number of integers will be supported, that will be supported is what? 63,353, like this. Okay, so this type of, this very number of integers can be supported by C++. But what if my principal goes beyond 65,000? Then what will happen? So it cannot, the integer value cannot store this particular principal. Suppose it may be like that my principal is 80,000. So these 80,000 cannot be stored by integer. So that's why we have used long int. So long int is having some more memory space. Okay, so long int principal we have used. Then we are taking integer time. Okay, and we are taking a rate which is of float type. This particular thing, we in this particular thing we will calculate the simple interest. Okay, and from the simple interest we will calculate the amount. Okay, so for this program what we have done, for calculating simple interest, what we take? Principal, time, rate, and another we have taken here, that is total amount, which is we have taken as float. Now total amount will be what? Principal plus the simple interest. This will be the total amount. The total amount that we calculate in case of simple interest formula, what we do? Principal plus our simple interest. Okay, this is the total amount formula. And simple interest formula, you know, I think so, SI equal to principal into rate into time divided by 100. This is our simple interest formula. So these two formula we will be using in this program. Okay, now you see in the public section we are defining the constructors. So first constructor you see is the default constructor, that is deposit. Okay, deposit is the first constructor, and this is our what? This is our default constructor. Now you come here, again another constructor. So here you see we are using the overloaded constructor, means we are using constructors in different forms. First we have used default constructor, then parameterized constructor with 3 parameters, then parameterized constructor with 2 parameters, then parameterized constructor with 2 parameters. So these are the 4 types of constructor that we have defined. This is number 1 constructor, this is number 2, this is number 3, and this is number 4. So 4 constructors we have defined, but the forms of every constructor are different. So this is the case where the overloaded constructor lies. Okay, now we have used 2 member function. One is calc amount for calculation of the amount, and another is display, means display of the result. Okay, 2 member functions we have taken. Now what we have done here, we have used only the prototype of the constructor, means only we have made the declaration of the constructor here. Okay, now we need to give the definition also. So after we have ended the class, here my class definition has ended. So after we have ended the class definition, we will give the definition of the constructor. So now how we will give the definition? If we are giving the definition outside the class, then what is the formula? We give the name of the class, then scope resolution operator, then the name of the constructor. Like this we define. So here we have given the name of the class, then scope resolution operator, then constructor. So this constructor is what? This constructor is default constructor. So default constructor initializes the data values with some particular initial values. Okay, so this particular default constructor is initializing the principal, time, and rate with the value 0.0. Okay, so here what happens, I am showing you here, that is principal is also 0, time is also 0, and rate is also 0. for this particular constructor. Now you come to the second constructor definition, deposit. Then inside this, what we are having the arguments in the second constructor P, T and R. So that's why we have written like this, P, T and R. And this we are initializing, the P is going to principal, T is going to time and R is going to rate. So this will depend upon the user. That is, at the time of making of the object of this, for this constructor, the user will pass certain values. So depending on that values, the principal, time and rate will take their values. Okay. Now you come to the third constructor, which is deposit, and inside this third constructor what we have written, long P and INTT. That is, it is having only principal's value and T's value. Okay, which will be given by the user. But here the rate value is given by the default argument. Okay, here we are using default value of rate, and rate's value by default is what, 0.08. Okay, so whenever the user will pass the value of P and T, then it will invoke which constructor, the third constructor, because the rate is given as the default argument. Now fourth constructor is defining P and R. Fourth constructor is defining P and R, and T's value is given as the default value, which is 2. Okay. Now you see here, our constructor definition is over. Now we come to the member function. So member function, here what we are doing, whenever we are defining the member function, first we have to give the return type of the member function, then name of the class, then scope resolution operator, then the name of the member function. This is the criteria, this is the syntax that we define. So first we have given the return type of the member function, which is void, because here we have defined, you see, void calc amount, void display. So void deposit calc amount void, and it is calculating the total amount, and total amount I have already shown you. What is the total amount formula? Principal plus principal into time into rate divided by 100. Okay, this principal into time into rate divided by 100 is the SI, and principal plus simple interest gives the total amount. So this is the formula that we have used here, and the display member function is just displaying all the values, that is displaying the values of principal, time, rate and total amount. So it will just print the values, that is principal is rupees this one, period of investment is time, rate of investment is this one, total amount is this one. So it will go on displaying these particular values. And in the main function what we are using, so we always know that our program execution always starts from the main. So in the main function system CLS, first we have given for clearing the screen. Then what we are defining here, deposit is what, the name of the class, and we are defining here 4 types of objects. Why we have defined 4 types of objects? Because our constructors are 4. We have defined 4 constructors here, na, because of the constructor overloading. So that's why the object will also be 4, and all the objects values, all the objects will argument will be different. First you see, first D1 object we are not assigning any argument. So this D1 will invoke which constructor? Constructor 1. Now D2 is having 3 arguments. You see 1, 2, 3. First argument int, second argument long int and float. So long int and float means it will invoke the second constructor, that is this type of constructor, which is having P, R and T given by the user. Okay, so now when this value, you see when this D1 is invoked, so D1 will be having this 0, 0, 0 value. When D2 is invoked with this particular values 2000, this 2000 will be passed to P, then 2 will be passed to T, and rate will be having 0.07 value. Okay, this F we have assigned because why? We have already covered in our previous lectures also that whenever we give 0.07, then by default C++ takes it as a double. But whenever if we want to assign it as a floating point, so we have to give this particular F after our value. So that's why we have given F here. Now D3, that is the third object, is having 2 parameters. both are, one is long and another is int. Okay, so long means p and int means t. So we will search where this p and t is having. So p and t is there in the third constructor. So this third constructor is defined here. So this p's value, that is 4000, will be passed to this p, and this time value, that is 1, this will be passed to this t. Clear? Now D4 is having the value long and float. So long and float means what? Long means P, principal, and float means rate. So we will search where is this principal and rate. So principal and rate is defined in the fourth constructor. So fourth constructor is having, you see, time is by default defined, and P will be having the value 3000, and R will be having the value 0.12. So R is having the value 0.12. So this is how we have assigned in the particular memory locations, because whenever we define an object in our main function, as soon as we define the object, it will invoke the constructor. So D1 is having no argument, so it will invoke the default constructor. D2 is having 3 arguments, so it will invoke the second constructor. D3 is having 2 arguments, first one is long, second one is int, so it will invoke the third constructor. And fourth object is having the long and float type, so it will invoke the fourth type of constructor. Now you see here what we have done, D1 dot calc amount. What we have done, D1 dot calc amount means for the value of D1 it will calculate the amount. So what is the value of D1? D1 is having P, T, R, all the 3 values are 0 for D1. Okay, so how it will calculate? If all the things are 0, principal also 0, time also 0, rate also 0, then what will be the value? The total amount for D1 will be calculated as 0. Okay, so here total amount will be what? I am writing in the side. Total amount will be what? 0. Okay, this is not the original one. Okay, this is not your original program, this is just the output. Okay, this is just the memory location, and what value will be stored in this particular memory locations, that I am showing. Okay, so this you don't include in your main program. Your main program is this one, and this I am showing you for your convenience, for your clearance. Okay, so now you come, our control will come to D2 the dot calc amount. So D2 means what? It will invoke this particular constructor, which is having 2000 as the principal, rate is 0.07, and time is 2. So from here it will take the value of P, R, and T, and it will calculate the total amount. So what will be the total amount? From here, if we multiply 2000 into 0.07 into 2, what will come out? It will come out as 280. Okay, so from here you will get the result as 280. You can do it yourself. Okay, from here you will get 280, means our SI is 280 here. So SI is 280 and principal is what? 2000. So what will be the total amount? Total amount for D2 will be what? 2000 plus 280 will be 2280. Okay, now you come to the third one. Third one, what we are defining? Third one, P is 4000, T is 1, and 0.08. So 4000 into 1 is 4000 into 0.08 will be what? 320. Okay, so from here we are getting the SI value as 320, and when we will calculate the amount, the principal plus SI, so principal is 4000 and SI is 320. So 4000 plus 320, our total amount will come out to be, total amount will be what? 4320. You can do it by yourself. This calculation you can do it yourself. Okay, and D4 means this particular constructor, which is having the value P as 3000, rate as 0.12, and time as 2. So if we multiply this one, we will get the value 720. So this 720 is SI. So SI plus 3000 will come out to be 3720. So this is the total amount for the fourth constructor. So total amount for fourth constructor is coming out to be 3720. So this is stored in particular locations for the different types. This is for D1, this is for D2, this is for D3, and this is for D4. This is not your main program. I am telling you again and again, your main program is this. This you can write in the rough part. Okay, in the rough part you can write this one for showing that what is the calculation you have done. Okay, now you come here. I am showing you the output also, how the output will come, so that you will become more clear. Now first what it is displaying, object 1. So what it will display, object 1. Then backslash n means it will go to next line, and it is finding d1 dot display. Okay, so d1 dot display means what? D1 dot display means it will go here, it will go to the display part, and for D1 it will display all the things. First principal amount, then period of investment, then rate of interest, then total amount. So let us write like this. First it will display the principal amount. Principal amount will be what? Rupees. What is the principal for D1? For D1, principal, time and R, all the three are 0. So principal 0, period of investment also 0 years. Years from where we are writing, because in the main we have written time then years, that's why we have written like this. Then comes rate of interest, this is 0, and then comes your total amount. So total amount what you have calculated for D1, that is stored in the memory. So this will display this one. Okay, so in the memory what is D1's total amount? 0.0. So it will display 0.0. Now this particular thing is over. Now it will come to next line, and it is finding object 2. So for object 2 again D2 dot display. For D2 object it will again go for display. So display, it will display all these things. Principal amount again. Principal amount for D2 will be what? That we have already seen. For D2, what is the principal, what is the time, and what is the rate? For D2, principal is 2000, time is 2, and rate is 0.07. So we will write like this. So principal is 2000, period of investment is 2 years. Then rate of interest is 0.07, and total amount is what? Total amount what we have calculated for D2, we have calculated 2280. So this will be displayed 2280. Now it will come to the next line, and it is finding object 3. So means the constructor D3 will be invoked. A deposit, that is object D3 will be invoked. So object 3. So for object 3, what is the constructor? Principal amount, that we will see here. For the object 3, we are having principal and time given by the user, and the rate is already defined by the default argument, which is 0.08. So here principal amount is rupees 4000, period of investment is 1 year, rate of interest, it is the default argument. Rate of interest here we have taken as default argument, which is 0.08, and the amount, total amount, here we have calculated. What we have calculated in the total amount? 4320. So it is coming out to be 4320. Okay, now we will see. Then it is coming to the next line, and it is having the object 4. So object 4 means our last constructor will be invoked, and our last constructor is having p and r, and time is having the default argument value, that is 2. So principal amount is rupees 3000. Period of investment is our default argument. Period of investment is 2 years. Then rate of interest. Rate of interest is what we have taken here. Rate of interest is 0.12. So 0.12, and total amount what we have calculated. Total amount we have calculated here 3720. You can see this one. This is for object D4. So D4 is having 3720 as the total argument. Then it is finding the return 0. So return 0 means our program has ended successfully. So this is how this program will run along with the output I have shown you. So 4 objects are there because there are 4 types of constructor defined. So that's why we have taken 4 objects, and for these 4 objects what the output will come, this also I have shown. And this calculation part you can do by yourself. Okay, you can see what this calculation is giving us the output, and this is very easy program. Only the thing is you have to define the 4 types of constructor, which is the constructor overloading. Then you have to calculate the total amount, which is principal plus simple interest, and then you have to display all the things, that is principal, period of investment, rate of interest, and the total amount that will be displayed. Okay, that thing you have to display only, and in the main program you have to just invoke the constructors. Okay, so that's all for your today's class. In this class we have covered 2 topics. First one is dynamic initialization, and the second one is constructor overloading. Okay, I hope this is clear to you all. In the next class we will discuss about the characteristics of constructor, and we will go to destructor also. Okay, thank you.